You may have heard that offices around America hit a new vacancy record, with almost 20% of office space remaining unleased as of the end of 2023. That's right, 1 in 5 offices in major U.S. cities are empty, and that's the highest number since at least 1979, which is as far back as the data goes. What does this mean for the future of work, the economy, and the society? Let's find out. First, let's look at some of the reasons why office vacancies have reached such a high level. One obvious factor is the pandemic, which forced many companies and workers to switch to remote or hybrid work models. According to a survey by PwC, 83% of employers said that remote work has been successful for their company, and 55% of employees said they would prefer to work remotely at least 3 days a week even after the pandemic is over. This means that many companies are reducing their physical footprints, either by downsizing, subleasing, or terminating their leases. Some examples of companies that have announced plans to cut their office space include IBM, Salesforce, Dropbox, and Spotify. Another factor that contributes to the high office vacancy rate is the overbuilding of office space that happened in the 1980s and 1990s. During that period, easy lending fueled a construction boom, especially in the South, where land was cheap and red tape was sparse. Banks often financed speculative office projects that didn't have any tenants signed up. However, when the economy went into recession in 1990, many of these office buildings couldn't find tenants and became a glut in the market. That glut still weighs on the office market today, as many older office buildings struggle to compete with newer and more modern ones. In fact, the 3 major U.S. cities with the highest office vacancy rates today are Houston, Dallas, and Austin, Texas, which were also among the most overbuilt markets in the past. So, what are the implications of this trend for the office market and beyond? Well, for office landlords, this is obviously not good news. They are facing lower rents, higher vacancies, and lower property values. According to Moody's Analytics, the average asking rent for office space in the U.S. fell by 3.4% in 2023, the largest annual decline since 2009. The average vacancy rate rose by 0.8 percentage points to 19.6%, slightly above the previous records of 19.3% set in 1986 and 1991. And the average value of office properties dropped by 6.8% in 2023, the worst performance since 2010. Some office landlords are trying to cope with the situation by offering incentives such as free rent, tenant improvements, or flexible lease terms to attract and retain tenants. Others are looking to convert their office buildings into other uses, such as residential, hotel, or retail, to generate income. For office tenants, this trend offers some opportunities and challenges. On the one hand, they can benefit from lower rents, more choices, and more bargaining power in the office market. They can also enjoy more flexibility and autonomy in deciding where and how they want to work. On the other hand, they may face some difficulties in maintaining their corporate culture, collaboration, and communication in a remote or hybrid work environment. They may also have to deal with some legal, tax, and regulatory issues that arise from having a distributed workforce across different states or countries. Some office tenants are adopting a hub-and-spoke model where they have a smaller central office in a major city and several satellite offices in suburban or rural areas, to cater to the diverse preferences and needs of their employees. For the economy and the society, this trend has some mixed effects. On the positive side, it could lead to more innovation, productivity, and efficiency, as workers and companies can leverage the power of technology and the internet to work from anywhere. It could also reduce traffic congestion, greenhouse gas emissions, and urban sprawl, as fewer people commute to and from the office. It could also create more opportunities for people who live in areas that have less access to jobs, education, and services, as they can work remotely for companies that are located elsewhere. On the negative side, it could widen the digital divide, the income gap, and the social polarization, as not everyone has the same ability or opportunity to work remotely. It could also hurt the local businesses and communities that rely on the office workers for their revenue and vitality, such as restaurants, shops, and entertainment venues. It could also pose some challenges for the public health, safety, and security, as more people work from home without adequate supervision or protection. In conclusion, the office market in the U.S. is undergoing a historic transformation as offices around America hit a new vacancy record. This trend is driven by the pandemic, the remote work revolution, and the overbuilding of office space in the past. It has significant implications for the office landlords, tenants, and the economy and society at large. It is not clear how long this trend will last or what the new normal will look like, but one thing is certain: the office is not dead, it is just evolving. What do you think the future of the office will look like? How will this trend impact where and how you work? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. See you next time.